Alright y'all, it's Alex Lovehall. If you've been on my channel for any amount of time, you already know I'm a huge fan of comic books. And I want to start talking about them more with you all, which means I'm starting a new series on my channel called Page to Page, where we're talking about the new version of comic books and the old version of comic books. We can put the discussion to rest once and for all, which version is better. Because the new Deadpool Wolverine movie is coming out, we're going to be talking about Wolverine, one half of that team, first. And we're going to be talking about the latest issue, 48, and we're going to be talking about the 90s version of that same issue, 48. We're going to talk about the old one first. The first thing is, Larry Hama is a really good writer. The way he sets up the characters and the story in this issue is a masterclass in writing. He is able to weave in and out of the present and the past to where you don't know what's going on, but everything you see and everything you hear is important. Like, for example, there's going to be a scene where Wolverine is looking at a car, him and Jubilee both. And when he looks at the car, he's going to flash back to the past, right? He's getting roughed up by some Weapon X goons, you know, the standard dudes with the suit and the jacket and the glasses, and then he slams one of their heads into the car door window, let me be more clear. Then, you know, the Weapon X goons go and rough him up a little bit, they got him in the headlock, he gets pistol whipped, he gets slammed to the ground, right? Now, when he wakes up, he's back in the present, and Jubilee's like, yo, what's going on, are you good? And then, you know, he gets up like, nah, it's fine, it's just a daydream, right? But he was like, nah, I don't think so, because it was too real. And then when he looks at the same car door window, excuse me, it's broken in the exact same way that in the dream, or in this case, the flashback, he slammed the dude's head in. So it shows you that everything that's going on is important, and everything that's going on is a detail. Speaking of Jubilee, even though I'm not the biggest fan of her character, and I'm not the biggest fan of how she talks sometimes, I gotta admit, Hama is really good at making the younger teenage daughter, older gruff father dynamic of Jubilee and Wolverine. It works well for this issue, as well as the fact that, again, everything in the issue is important. Just like there's going to be a scene where Jubilee and Wolverine are walking. You're not necessarily sure where they're walking to, but they're walking somewhere. It looks like a sewer. Wolverine's feet goes into the water, right? You're going to see a reflection of the Weapon X Wolverine looking right back, and then it's going to transition into Weapon X Wolverine. So I'm telling you, the penciler Mark Silvestri, or in this case the artist, he is really a masterclass of Wolverine. Honestly, when I think of Wolverine, he is one of the first artists that come to mind. His penciling, his anatomy, his posing, his pacing, his choices of how to just make Wolverine look are some of the most defining for that character. And honestly, his version of Wolverine is probably one of the more attractive ones that you'll see. Even though he's still 5'3" in the comics, he looks taller. The way that he's positioned, he looks more heroic, which when you look at other people who draw Wolverine, it's not always like that. Also, the color palette really lends itself well into the old-timey, mysterious nature that's going on, as well as the fact that Mark Silvestri has a really good sense of kinetic timing, as well as the movements in the panel. For example, speaking of that car, there's going to be a scene where Wolverine goes to reach for a car door, a garage door. His hand is lowering down. And then you're going to see in the next frame, the door is already up and they're looking at the car. But it's drawn so well and it's angled so nice that your mind is going to literally fill in the gaps so seamlessly that the in-between frames aren't even drawn, but you just know what happens and the flow is never lost. Back to what I was talking about with the Wolverine in the water with the Weapon X, the flow is so nice you won't even notice that you're going into another transition into the flashback. And honestly, I do want to read the next issue, mainly because, again, Mark Silvestri's pencils, they are really well drawn and they are really good. It's capturing my attention, especially that old 90s artwork. But more importantly, the story is really good at setting up what you want to see next, as well as the fact that Wolverine's past wasn't that defined at the time. So they're actually laying a lot of breadcrumbs, like, who is this? What is Weapon X? What does he know? What is real? What is not real? Is he going crazy? All those questions and more. Now to transition that with the new issue, which I can't remember who wrote it and I can't remember who drew it. I think Corey Smith drew it. and I think Benjamin Percy wrote it. I could be wrong. Now, I'm going to be honest. This is the era of Wolverine that I checked out in. I liked when it started. The Krakoa era X-Men was probably one of my favorite ones, and then it kept going. Especially now when I heard they were doing the Sabretooth multiverse war, I didn't care. I stopped paying attention. So, I opened the issue, and I see Wolverine sitting down in a hospital bed, and I'm like, oh no. That probably means he lost his powers again, which means I don't even understand what's going on. Because, spoiler alert, if you go read the current X-Men run, like the actual X-Men book, not Fall of X, Rise of X, Power of X, none of that. He's, one, wearing his yellow and blue suit, which in the book I'm reading, he's wearing his Krakoan suit, which, fun fact, I actually think the Krakoan suit is one of his best ones yet. But more importantly, Wolverine has his adamantium claws out, and he has a healing factor. So, I'm confused. When does this take place? How does he have his healing factor in one story, but then in his own solo series, he has no healing factor? Also, I don't know who the black girl is that's sitting next to him. It could be Monica Rambeau. It could not be. Another thing that was confusing, I don't understand, because again, in the X-Men books, X-23 was dead, or is dead. Spoiler alert if you didn't know. And then if you go read this one, there's magically an X-23 already there, and people just magically know that she's alive. So, I'm now again confused. Apparently, a friend of mine said that there's two of them, but I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me. And as I said earlier, we have the Sabretooth angle with the multiversal Sabretooth war. That's kind of dumb. You can miss me with that. I will say, in the beginning of the issue, there's going to be a moment where you get to see Wolverine, a lot of his past moments redrawn, which is kind of cool because that's better written stories and stories that probably are a lot better to experience. But the art, fun fact, it isn't as good. And I know it's unfair to compare that to Mark Silvestri's pencils, but let's just be real. They don't hold up at all. And then on the other side of the page, you're going to see Sabretooth, and they're kind of paralleling Wolverine and Sabretooth together. Again, I have no idea what the context is, but just the setup of Wolverine healing, or I guess in the hospital, and then Sabretooth being a prisoner again. They're kind of narrating their experiences. I will lie, or I'm not going to lie, that is a nice touch. What isn't a nice touch is the ending, because all of a sudden, I don't even know who's fighting or why they're in a forest, whatever, I don't care. But the ending where Wolverine has to go and get an adamantium armor out of a vault that I've never seen before, and now he has a Muramasa blade, which again, that's kind of cool, but then I just don't like the fact that Wolverine's in an adamantium armor, which by the way, how can he move in that? Because I thought adamantium was supposed to be super heavy. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe they changed something, I don't know. But overall, I don't have a lot of interest to read this story. The suit is cool, and I kind of want to see what they do with that. However, that's not really a good thing, because Wolverine shouldn't need a suit of armor unless he's going up against something crazy. And the storyline, I don't care. The storyline sucks. I have no interest. I only just picked it up because it's the new issue. I have no interest to read it in terms of story. And with that being said, y'all, that's all I got. Honestly, the old one, I'm going to read it. For y'all, I'm gonna wait to read it until we get to the new issue so you can really see what's going on with that. If you enjoy this series, let me know. If you have any comics that you want to see, if you have any characters that you enjoy, please let me know. Also, put down in the comics below, not the comics below, I haven't made one yet, but I will. Put in the comments below which Wolverine story is your favorite, which Wolverine story you want me to cover next, or which Wolverine artist is your favorite. Again, thank y'all. This is a new series. I'm going to be doing this more often, so be on the lookout for that. I'll catch y'all next time, and take care.